Massive TV.
Thank you for having me. My name is Orina Amos Maneno. I'm a student leader, University of Nairobi, specifically the College of Education and External Studies. I'm the Secretary General, and I must say, first of all, I welcome you home because this is my place.
Thank you very much.
And feel free. I can say yes and no at the same time.
Why?
When I was vying, I believed they were to be very happy because at the end of the day, when you are elected, you have a lot of aspirations, you have a lot of intentions, a lot of plans for students. But upon getting the leadership, things kind of change, frustrations here and there, and things change. So to wrap it up, I can easily say there is a little bit dissatisfaction, but on a good part, we are doing well.
Actually, one of the reasons that we have promised the connectivity of internet throughout the school, especially to the hostels, and the reason that has not happened is actually the school has been closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we will actually work on it.
Okay. So
The promise is still there,
okay.
and we will deliver.
So I believe it's because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, because the COVID-19 pandemic has actually stopped everything,
Okay.
and it has even affected our term in the office because majority of our term,
Yeah.
the students were not in school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Babawino was fierce, and Babawino also was ruthless in the way he handled the administration. And I can see he made some progress. But also one thing that really makes me dislike the time of Babu was the much violence that was there during the elections. Some of our students were killed during that time. Some of our female students were raped during that time. And even if I very much dislike the Duale bill, I like the fact that now we have peace. But in the way he handled the administration, he made very big progress. Anthony was
that he is a failure to student leadership and the whole students' body.
One thing, I think Anthony Manyara was the first UNSA president, right?
Yeah, right.
At that time, I want to really talk ill about him, but one thing is he didn't know what to do. Just like when there's a new system, one may not know what to do. But I think he tried. Though yeah, he failed in some things, but I think he also tried.
If I was conducting that, I could have, those two guys led at different times.
Yeah, I know.
And both had different ways of leadership.
Yeah.
And Babu was handling the issue of leadership at different times, different problems as compared to Manyara. On my own, I can easily say I'll credit, if it's about vibrance, I'll credit Babu. But it's about leadership, I'll credit Manyara on my side. I'll first of all borrow his marking scheme.
Okay.
Yeah, because I cannot easily say he failed. But on my side, I feel like these are two different leaderships. Babu Wino was a good leader, but he was more of a politician than a leader. And the case is different from Manyara, who in a larger extent was a leader and not a politician. So vibrance, if the guy based his assumption on vibrance, then he was right. But to me, having been in leadership and understood how these things work, I believe that we need more leadership than politics. But either way, we can't separate the two.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I can't talk much about Anthony Manyara, but I can talk about Babu, since we have been seeing him on our national television. And actually, politics is a dirty game, and it was played clearly. It was dirty. And I can say that Babu stood for comrades, and I'd say he's on the side of standing up for each other. That one I could give him a 10 out of 10. Yeah. Okay, there's every bad side to something, and some of the vices I saw in him, I couldn't say that I support him in all aspects. There's some things I'd like to pick from him. His servant leadership. He united the comrades, they became one, and it was such a beautiful thing to be in campus at that time. Yeah, I was actually in high school or primary. Yeah, so I was really motivated to do politics thanks to Babu. Yeah.
For me, I have, in both tenors, I have actually witnessed the both regimes of Anthony Manyara and Babu Owino.
Yeah.
And I can say they both did a tremendous job in directing the students and serving them.
Yeah.
And I believe they had two different approaches, but all of them have delivered, and I believe they are both good leaders, and I don't have any bad thing to say about their regime. Yeah, they did positive works. Babu Owino was very aggressive in his style, and actually has delivered a lot in terms of solving the student issues.
Okay.
For Anthony Manyara, he was also great, and he has done a lot in the university.
Okay.
Actually, in the year 2017,
Yeah.
was the year UNSA was the year SONU transitioned to UNSA,
Yeah.
and the constitution was actually revised.
Okay.
Yeah, there were some. Actually, one of the things that have changed in SONU to UNSA was actually the voting system. In SONU, the voting system used to be per head. If you want to become a leader, you go to every campus and every student casts his votes. But for UNSA, the voting system has turned out like a delegate system, whereby a few selected student leaders from each campus votes for the council leader.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think recently you may have seen a clip of a vice chancellor, threatening the student leaders.
Right.
Yeah, it went viral, and that is one way of intimidation. Now, once you tell a student like that, if they're planning to organize a strike, they get scared. So one way the administration uses threats on students, promises to expel them or suspend them, and also another thing is there's no student who didn't want to graduate. Yeah, so once you engage in activism, there's a very high possibility that the school may deny you the ability to graduate, or even deny you results in some units and all that. That's part of intimidation by the school.
I cannot really say we are intimidated, but we are frustrated sometimes. Because upon ascending to power, you realize you've got your own manifesto. You've got your own plans for students, well laid down, maybe agendas, I'll do this, I'll do that. And then, you can't do these things alone without the administration.
Right.
So you have to approach the administration. But the administration has that mentality that, we are elected to fight them. So at the end of the day, when you face them, they might decide to pin you down, maybe to clear a way for them. So I can easily say sometimes they frustrate our efforts, but sometimes they're supportive.
We experience intimidation, especially when it comes to asking for permission to do our projects, and also when it comes to matters concerning the students. They're actually very slow, or sometimes they underrate us, and that one most of the times it gives rise to student strikes and demos. Actually, our top priority and actually our work is to fight for the students, and we don't mind if in the process actually we can die for the students.
Thank you for the question, and I can't say that I'm intimidated by the deaths. It's just saddening that you have to lose these great minds to such cheap politics, where we see the great men killing, taking down these great leaders who will have been so resourceful in the future. And on the issue of the killings of students and as an aspiring student leader, I'd strongly condemn the act that leads to the death of these students. And according to Article 26 of the Constitution of Kenya, right to life should be respected. And in these cases, we should chant and exercise the right to life for every other student.
We die for fighting for what is right.
Yeah.
We fight, I mean, people die for let me say for democracy and stuff. People die for fighting for what is right. And from my own account, I believe that if we have to die for fighting for what is right, and so shall it be. You know, liberation is not so easy. It takes a lot of effort and dying and stuff. So yeah.
That's a very unfortunate case, and I would say to some extent I am. But also it depends with the activism of the student body. As we speak right now, I think the student leadership has been very down when it comes to activism, especially radical activism. Our leadership has many approaches. There can be activists, and we also have, what we call diplomats, people who pursue diplomatic means while handling issues.
Right.
Yeah, so our body may have not been having many activists, but we've had good diplomats. I feel like sometimes if the school sees a student leader is active,
Yeah.
they start intimidating them. But I think it's really so wrong for a school to come to the extent of killing someone. I mean, you can just expel, but you should not kill. I mean, life is very precious. You can't just kill a student like that because they're advocating for students' rights. Definitely. I mean, it's in the constitution. According to our constitution, it's right for people to strike, but also strike with a good intention and also to a certain extent.
One thing I always tell people around me or myself is that strikes, going out to the streets to protest, shouldn't be the first solution to your problems. Dialogue can be a way of solving these issues. Yes, if dialogue doesn't work, look for alternative ways before going to the streets, killing people and vandalizing public property. Yes.
Actually, I believe it's their right to go and strike, especially where dialogue has failed. Most cases, we normally deliver notice, 21 days notice before we actually conduct any strike.
Okay.
And when we are conducting strikes, it is actually the admin is really aware of our intentions, and actually most of the time we do peaceful strikes.
Yeah, I am very disturbed. I mean, they are our students.
Yeah.
We owe them security. If I take them to the streets, then I owe them security. I've guaranteed them that they will be safe once they go there. So when a situation like that happens, I feel very guilty.
It will be detrimental. However, for such cases, we usually pursue. You can actually pursue that matter, take it to court, and the family will be compensated for that. And if one is injured or anything happens to them, we can always work as a team, as comrades, because an injustice to one comrade is an injustice to all comrades. Therefore, we work as a team and ensure that you, who supported us while we needed you, we support you even while you're on that bed. Yeah. And the thing is, you cannot work as one man in this game of politics. Yeah. So you need a team behind you to walk you through, because walking alone makes you more vulnerable, prone to being killed, tortured, and these things that you're seeing here in the media of people being killed, student leaders being killed, and it's being concluded that it's suicide, which clearly we know it is homicide. Yes.
You should be considerate. Can I support that? I'm saying considerate because, you see, when you get to interact with students on a personal level, you'll come to realize that most of these students have different issues, especially funding. We have students here to date who are just pirating. You know what called pirating? They cannot afford the cost, the accommodation fee, maybe, leave alone the issue of, the cost of surviving. Maybe the money to eat, the money to put on, the money to buy clothing and stuff, they cannot. So, on my side, I believe, yes, he's doing well in terms of management of this university, because we've been having issues of shortage of funds, but there are some decisions which I feel that before he makes them, he should be considerate. He should be considerate because we have disparities in terms of incomes, there is that difference. There are differences in terms of getting, yeah. So let the decisions be out of consultation. For example, you cannot make decisions in Nairobi for a college like Kikuyu.
Yeah.
We have different issues here. Kabete has different issues. And maybe Parklands has their own issues. So if decisions have to be made, let suggestions rise from the ground. What does Kikuyu has? So the people here will give suggestions. And after that now, they'll escalate to him, maybe for considerations and decision making. We have different styles of leadership. Kiama has chosen his, and I believe he's right. That's why I say in the first place, Kiama, sometimes it takes toughness to realize someone is. This university for quite some time, I can agree, there is a shortage of funds and stuff. It needs a lot of pushing, even from his end. He had to be firm. But on one element, I believe on the issue of fee and stuff, we feel like Apo Kidogo, no.
Kiama is one person who really makes decisions without even the involvement of the major stakeholders. Who does that? This is not a home whereby you can just run affairs as if it's your home. There are people, the people who are paying fees. We deserve to be heard. At least most of the universities that I've visited, they have very interactive sessions with their vice chancellor. Our vice chancellor here, to get him is a hard task. A normal student will go there and meet Kiama, but a student leader, it's very hectic. Yeah.
Okay, the VC actually is not a dictator.
Okay.
But in any given leadership, sometimes people won't agree with everything that you said. I can actually say he's doing his work, but there are some issues which students actually don't agree with him or are not actually satisfied with some of the decisions he's making. But I feel the VC is doing a great job in making this university great again.
Okay, now.
One, now that we are close to the electioneering period, there is that fast for the youth vote, and the most universities hold the most youth, as you all know. And one of the reasons why politicians right now would run to student leaders, as you've seen it's happening, you've seen them meet student leaders and all that, it's because they would want the youth vote. Well, according to me, it's good and bad. It's good in the fact that our youth will be able to vote, but also it's bad because our youth will be bribed to vote for a certain person. Once they are given money or they are asked to mobilize, they note down the people that they mobilize. So once you go to the political leader, you have a list of the people that you've mobilized. Then a political leader is able to see, is this progress or is this not what I wanted? Okay. Then from there now they can sit down and decide. I don't think they can really do them harm because of low mobilization. What they can just do is tell them what techniques or give them ways of improving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because campus politics is actually expensive, and if it's possible, I'd actually request the school to minimize and actually give a budget for these candidates who are going to vie as student leaders, because in actual sense, national politics, they're given a budget, presidential candidates. Okay, for some politicians, you cannot rule out all the good people and say that everyone is bad, you're funding all the other student leaders so that you gain or for a refund. because we can actually see some people like Sakaja, they can fund you, and in that way they're actually mentoring you into leadership from the campus level to the national level. Yeah, so we can't rule out that there are people who sponsor people to take someone down, kill a comrade, or do something outrageous. But the issue with that is you'll be like a pawn, just being moved around, and you'll have to, your values will be undermined, where you have to do what this politician asks you to do. So all through, you'll have to put your values aside as a leader who we elected and had values that and faith that this leader has these values, and that's why we are electing them into office. However, yes, we need to vote in the quote unquote good leaders who we think they're not the face of politics which we think we want. Yes.
First of all, I'll have to discard a given mentality.
Yeah.
Most aspiring student leaders have that intention, or they have that feeling. Hey, you know, when I ascend to power, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that there is tension.
Yeah.
I'm going to fight the administration. You don't fight for example, I'm going to fight for your rights and stuff. You see, when you're sent to power, Javan, you'll come to realize that it's a different part of what you've never experienced.
Yeah.
Leadership is not all about fighting. It's all about interacting. For example, Javan, you're part of the management.
Yeah.
Today, I spilled the relationship between. I spilled the relationship between us.
Yeah.
Now, but maybe by forcing you to the end, right?
Yeah.
Now, what becomes of a point when I want to talk to you one-on-one, and we are not in terms?
It becomes problematic.
Problematic.
Yeah.
So what I advise some of these guys is they should learn more about leadership, not not more of politics. It's good to become a politician so that you can ascend to power. Upon taking over an office, now you become a leader, not a politician. Because when you become a leader, upon ascending to power, now you deliver. Do you know what that means? Do politics to ascend to power. Be a leader so that you serve these people. And then they should learn to strike a balance. Because obviously, the administration knows one thing. Ever since a time immemorial, that student leaders are just elected to fight them, you know. So you come with a different fashion. And by the way, why should you be elected to fight the administration like Babu Win? You know, some student leaders have that notion that, you know, when I ascend to power, I'm going to fight. Who are you going to fight? These people are prepared. They know that that's what we are. So it's good to be unique.
Okay.
Person X, for example, I, Maneno, have been elected as the University of Nairobi president. I'll have to come with a different version because Babu is remembered because of his style of leadership.
Yeah.
I'm coming with my own. So what are you coming with? That's the big question. So my advice to them is they should learn more of leadership. More of leadership, and strike a balance between politics and leadership while in office, because it's not easy. Yeah, the administration can step on you, and when you spoil the relationship between you and the administration, believe you me, all these people whom elected you to work, you will never work when you don't have a good relationship between you and the administration. So there must be balance.
My advice to them is campus politics is a platform for you to grow politically, to even national politics. Most people use the chance well, others don't use the chance well. But I have seen something in UNSA. I have seen so much political interest in UNSA, and it has really shocked me. People are just really so focused on their own development on financial development such that they forgot there are people who elected them to serve them. To our next aspiring leaders, my advice to you is, once you go there, remember that there's an invisible scale that measures what you are doing. You may be doing small things, but at the end, nature will reward you because of the great things that you've done. You may go there and become corrupt and all that, and also nature will reward you for your deeds. We need student leaders who are very vibrant. We need people who can advocate for student rights. We also need people who are knowledgeable and wise, who are able to come up with ideas to transform the school. As you know, right now, violence is not acceptable in UON anymore. So we need people who are diplomatic and people who can come up with better ideas. Yeah, so our student leaders, please, this time round, don't fail us. banking with you.
Okay, thank you.
One obvious challenge that they must face is that they are going to rub shoulders with the administration. That's really going to come. The administration of University of Nairobi will really, really frustrate you. That's very obvious.
Actually, the advice I can give to the aspiring student leaders is to actually fight and put the priority of the welfare of the students ahead of their interests, and in that way they can be great leaders. The one thing you should always understand is that you'll always rub hands with the administration because of the way rigid they are and the way the governance structure of the university is.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe diplomacy is the best way to solve issues, because when you normally go for fights every time, you know, the consequences are not always good. And sometimes, you know, we have seen the impacts of war and violence in achieving solutions. And most of the time you have seen most of the best solutions are arrived in a dialogue or in a diplomacy way. Yeah.
So let's say diplomacy fails.
Yeah.
So you take to the streets and strike about that.
Yeah, that is what we are for.
That's what
that is what student leadership stands for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once a leader, always a leader, provided you know what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Javan.
Advocacy TV. My name is Javan Silas, and we have the Secretary General for Kikuyu Campus, University of Nairobi, Honorable Amos Maneno. Thank you for being my guest.
You're welcome.